Hi guys, today I'll be playing You and Him. Sort. Missing persons. Gone without a trace, Emma Jane Lee. Emma Jane Lee, 23, went missing last Friday night on June 16th after she went out clubbing with a group of her friends. Her friends just last spotted her walking down North Street, heading in the direction of her apartment. Her family filed a missing persons report after they couldn't get in contact with her when her boss became concerned and notified the family that she hadn't shown up for work. Oh man, it's gonna be this type of story, huh? Middle of nowhere, 3:32 p.m. In other news, the hit boy band Cake will be playing live tomorrow night at the Sanita Alley Stadium in Park Bend, Arizona. According to our sources, concert tickets sold out within seconds of their initial online release date, despite the fact that a massive influx of these users caused the website itself to crash. Luckily, they managed to get the site up and running again, but many people were upset since they were forced to log back in and many missed out on buying tickets because of this. Thousands took to Twitter to vent their frustrations, while others made light of the situation by making and sharing memes. Many of these posts went viral and got Santanita Alley Stadium trending for 3 days straight on Twitter itself. The DJ lets out a huff of breath. I can't believe what I'm seeing in these reports. Can you, Kenny? The car's radio crackles and a new voice joins in on the conversation, his tone coming across as both jovial and borderline cartoonish. Not in the slightest, and I'm just as stunned as you are. It's fascinating to see these young men who start from modest backgrounds rise to take the world by storm. I don't think I've seen a boy band craze this bad since the 90s and early 2010s. I don't think those even compare to what we're seeing today, don't you agree, Bob? Bob, the first radio DJ Sue spoke, let out a giant guffaw. Oh boy, this is an understatement. Even my husband adores their latest hit single, The Way You Make Me Sway, which is saying something. I thought your husband hated modern day music. My point exactly. If they can make my husband love their sound, then you know they've got that special something that an old man like him and I can't even ignore. When they start playing Cake's latest single, you turn down the dial on the radio, choosing instead to focus on the long stretch of road before you. The blistering heat already makes it hard to concentrate, and you don't need the added distraction. Especially considering you've almost driven almost 323 miles thanks to your aunt's pleas to gather up all of your uncle's valuables and drop them off at his new apartment, and the next 6 towns over are now on the return drive home sans guns. You tried turning her down, but your mom called and forced you to agree. What the heck? Something about being a good niece and mentions of past actions when your aunt almost didn't treat you like dirt and yada yada yada. At that point, you just want to hang up and go back to your hermit crab lifestyle. So you agreed and took an obscene amount of guns from your aunt to give to your uncle. Due to the terms and conditions of the divorce, the judge ruled out that since your aunt got ownership of the house, your aunt needed to fork over her collection of guns and hand them to your uncle. Wait, it's her collection of guns? Getting the aforementioned guns out of her house was a nightmare. The woman kept screaming every time you load the guns into your car. You had to restrain her when she kept trying to lunge for your trunk, saying he wouldn't know if one or two were missing. When you refused to budge on the matter, she became inconsolable and ran inside the house, shutting herself in the bathroom for a solid 20 minutes before you need to leave. When she returned, her demeanor returned to normal. Well, at least for her. Relatives are weird, man. Speaking of weird, how long was this stretch of road again? You could have sworn it was a heck of a lot shorter the first go-around. Ugh, not to mention you need to pee. You regret not stopping by the gas station 50 miles back, actively choose to ignore the huge warning signs that said, next gas station in 100 miles. A terrible decision considering the state of your bladder. You mull over your lack of options when something in the distance catches your attention. As your car eats up the distance between you, you make the shape of a large, lumbering figure walking across the side of the road, with their thumb jutted out and raised above their head. Huh, what's a hitchhiker doing all the way out here? Your bladder quakes. Never mind, you don't have time for this. Not to mention the fact that your mother always warned you about shady hitchhikers. Letting this man into your car breaks up future trouble. Best to avoid a situation like that altogether. You pull right up behind him, you notice a distant limp to his walk and blood blooming out from his pant leg. Seeing his injury causes guilt to settle in. He's clearly hurt and needs help, and there's no one else around but you. Honestly, I would keep driving. You just can't trust people these days. You wrestle with your options when he suddenly collapses into a heap on the side of the road. Shit. There goes your self-preservation. You park just ways ahead of him and launch out of the driver's seat, praying to God you don't believe in that he's okay. When you reach him, you fall to your knees and gently nudge shoulder, only to garner no response. Come on, please be okay. You lean down and press your head against his chest. You feel it rise and fall and the sound of a faint heartbeat. Good, he's still breathing. You sit back up and try gently shaking his shoulder again. Sir, can you hear me? Ugh. He's also conscious, another good sign. Don't worry, sir, I'm going to call for help, okay? You pull out your cell phone, ready to dial the emergency helpline, when a hand latches onto your wrist in a vice-like grip, and the man beneath you adjusts himself into a sitting position. You're taken aback by the man's fierce gaze glaring at you through a wall of raven-colored hair. Don't call anyone, I'm fine. Yes, but... Nails dig into your forearm, not enough to draw blood, but enough to warn you he means business. I said I'm fine. Don't call. Bruh, this guy's he's a predator. I want to see him. I want to call. You wrench your arm out of his grasp and dial for help anyway. He's insane if he thinks you're just going to let this whole thing slide. He's clearly injured and definitely needs a dressing for that wound on his leg. You yank your arm out of his grasp and press the phone to your ear before standing up, turning your back to the man as you glare at the sun beating down on you. Could it be any odder? An operator picks up. Hello, what's your emergency? She's cut off mid-sentence when the hitchhiker plucks the phone out of her hand and drops it to the ground. He crushes the device under a scuffed boot, hands in his pockets, looking almost bored as he does so. Once he's done destroying the phone you worked 3 years in customer service to pay off, he runs a hand through his hair and reveals an all-too-familiar smile. You recognize these features that span across multiple blocks in the internet stratosphere, from his gleaming white teeth, which were perfect advertisement for the 10 toothpaste commercials he sponsored, to the scar to his eyebrow that fangirls obsessed over. The lead singer of Cake, Adam. You open your mouth to comment, wondering how a man like him ended up here, when he rushes forward and plunges something into your shoulder. You're caught off guard. His momentum pushes you backwards, and your head cracks painfully against the asphalt. The man stands over you for a moment as he wipes the blood off his knife by using his shirt as a makeshift handkerchief. He smiles cruelly as he crawls over your collapsed body with a predatory gleam in his eyes boxing in your hips, trapping you underneath him as his hands pin your wrist over your head. You watch as he reaches into his back pocket to reveal a phone of his own. He taps something on his screen and all of a sudden you're blinded by light. You try blinking the stars out of your eyes, confused by what just occurred. Shoot, I left the flash on. Sorry about that. You son of a bitch! You kick your legs and buck your hips in a valiant effort to toss him off your body, throwing your way around in hope that you'll catch him off balance, but he doesn't seem fazed in the slightest. You give up after exhausting yourself. Damn it all. Once you settled, Adam taps his phone screen again, and this time there's no blinding light. He stares at the picture he just took for a moment, nods to himself, then shoves his phone into his back pocket, satisfied by whatever he sees. You've got a pretty photogenic face. The picture will print out great, don't you think? You try spitting in his face, but it misses by a landslide. Aw, that wasn't very nice. Nice just went out the window when you stabbed me. Maybe I wouldn't have stabbed you, just listened to me and hung up the phone. Yeah, right. You get the distinct feeling that he's lying through his teeth. You don't peg him as an honest type, considering he's probably got a bunch of skeletons in his closet he was attacking strangers for shits and giggles. What did you want my photo for? Scrapbooking? His face darkens at your retort. How is that any of your business? Surely he's joking. You look at his tense expression. Nope, he's 100% serious, but at least he's not cutting you open like a slab of meat. If you can keep him talking, maybe you'll find a way out of this mess? A Christmas present for your dear old mom and dad, then? Don't talk about my mother. This type. Oh, does he have mommy issues? No, maybe he has daddy issues. Better yet, maybe both. What about your dad? Can we talk about him? Adam considers you a moment, obviously confused by your cavalier attitude despite the current situation, but he's curious enough to see where this leads. What do you want to know about him? Does he snore like a boar? Does he play catch with you as a kid? Does he barbecue and watch football on Sundays? Does he make corny dad jokes? What does he do for a living? To answer your question in order, no, no, yes, no. And he's a preacher from my hometown church back in Tennessee. Ah, fan of the big guy in the sky, eh? I'm guessing you went to a church a lot as a kid. Adam considers you for a moment. Ah, so that's your angle. I'm sorry? You gas his nose deep, dig into your wounded shoulder, tears prick at the corner of your eyes, starting to spill over. You have to bite your lip to keep them in place. No way you let this man get the self-satisfaction of seeing you cry. You want to keep me talking until you can think of an escape plan, is that it? Well, I'm sorry to inform you, but that won't happen. We're alone, I'm armed with a knife, and this highway is almost always as deserted. Very few cars drive along this highway, and the only reason people tend to travel here is for nefarious means or out of sheer desperation, but it's almost always the latter. I would know. I scoped out this place ahead of time. He gives you a sadistic grin. But you know what? Why not? I'll play this game for a little while longer. It could be fun after all, giving you that small sliver of hope that someone might pass by and rescue you from your fate. Speaking of fate, let's talk about something related to that. Destiny itself. Don't worry, I promise this all circles back to my father. Now let's see. He pauses a moment to gather his thoughts before he begins talking again. My dad, you know, it's funny. Despite being religious and believing in the power of free will, my father also thinks that destiny plays a big role in our everyday lives. He always says that while some things are in our control, other things are milestones, blamed by God to teach us pivotal life lessons planned far in advance. Attempts of sorts, you could say. He digs his nail deeper into your wounds, and you bite your lips so hard it bleeds. Tell me something. Do you believe in destiny? I'll say no. I'm gonna be honest, man. Mom always said that honesty was the best policy no matter the circumstances. Sure, it might get you killed here, but he's probably already planning on doing that anyway. No. You admit that through clenched teeth. Especially when people like you exist. What sick mystical bullshit would send me to kill to someone like you as a test? He stares at you for a moment, dissecting you with his eyes. You feel like one of those dead frogs they use in biology class to teach teenagers how bodies work and function, with your limbs all splayed out and pinned at your sides, ripe for the organ harvesting. You wait for him to slice you open in response to giving the wrong answer, but to your surprise, he doesn't. Funny, I thought you tried to lie and appease me. Typically, when I ask someone a question after they find out their life's on the line, they try and fit their answer to one they think I like. I, however, find honesty to be one of the most honorable traits a person can have. In fact, I prefer your honesty, even if our views differ. So you believe in destiny? Why does that not surprise me? Oh, I don't. I was just curious to see how you'd answer. You wanted to get me to know me after all, even if it was just to buy time. I figure I'd still extend that same courtesy. Heh, I normally don't let my guard down and talk about my father like this. Aren't you happy? This shows how special you are to me. Wow, narcissistic much? Oh, I bet you say that to all your victims. His eyes narrow at your sarcasm, but you continue on because you can't help but stop yourself. I truly am the luckiest person alive. I don't deserve you or your kindness. You really aren't like other serial killers. He reclaims his knife and buries it deep into your shoulder, effectively cutting you off. When he withdraws the blade, he examines the fresh blood coating the knife and frowns. I appreciate honesty to an extent, but you're far better if you keep your mouth shut. Make me. A child retort in the grand scheme of things, but you'll be damned if he's getting the last word in edgewise. He watches the angle of the blade, lifting it high overhead before bringing it down towards your sternum with the most cold-blooded expression. You have to think quickly and throw him off guard to ensure your survival. Those options, so well, I think that's a good option to make your killer fall in love with you. Would that even do anything? I feel like that would just be bad. Claw out his eyes. Claw out his eyes, guess. I'm not sure. I want to save this to see. Maybe we... Here's him. You grit your teeth through the pain. But it's the first thing that comes to mind. Before I can react, you grab him by the scruff of his shirt and pull him down. Cut off balance, he drops his knife and braces his hands on the ground, unable to avoid your awaiting mouth. His dark eyes... Are you serious? Do you really? Are you? His dark eyes go comically wide as your lips touch. He goes still for a total of 2 seconds, which doesn't give you enough time to grab his knife and aim for the jugular. You expect him to shove you away to scrub his mouth clean of you, to drive his knife down in disgust. What you don't expect for him is to return your kiss with desperate urgency. What? Is that desperate? His mouth slides against yours, softening to the equivalent of melted butter, ordering you to open your mouth with his. He's shaking uncontrollably like a leaf caught in the wind. He's a man who's sought thrill from murder, but from the looks of it, hasn't experienced much, if any, intimate interaction. You found an undeniable weakness. He's so distracted, eyelids fluttering shut in pure and abashed pleasure, that he takes the opportunity to use your other hand to search for his knife. Your hand swipes over dirty rocks and asphalt until your hand manages to land on the hilt of the blade. You make sure you have a firm grasp, and you lodge a knife deep in his side. He cries out, rolling off your body, clearly not understanding what just happened. Free of his weight, you take the golden opportunity to sprint towards your car. He calls after you, but you don't look back. Hopping into the driver's side, you rev your car engine and floor it, pressing pedal to the metal. You see him limping after you in the rear view mirror and watch as he grows smaller before disappearing completely. Adrenaline pumps through your veins, heart struggling against your ribcage. For hours on the drive back to your town, you check your rear view mirror to see if somehow he managed to teleport into your back seat, afraid he'll finish your job. I'm okay now, you say when you see your hometown on the horizon. I'm okay. Elsewhere at 9:30 p.m. Adam manages to return to his hotel room without much trouble after calling in a few favors. He's lucky you didn't hit anything vital, just a flesh wound that he managed to stitch together himself, the action of pushing a needle through skin like a second nature thanks to practicing on previous victims. He lies back on a king-size mattress, spent from walking under the crisp sun and getting hurt to boot. The sheets feel cold and oddly ticklish beneath him. Everything feels ticklish since that kiss from hours ago, like his nerve endings are standing on end, hypersensitive to everything he touches. He absentmindedly strokes his own bottom lip. He can still taste you, the shape of your body pressed against his, and the way you moved under him ingrained into his memory, permanent stamp on his consciousness. He wants to see you again, to touch you, kiss you, to claim you, to mark you. Unwarranted images of you invade his mind, graphic depictions of your body intertwined, fueling his lust, causing his hand to dip in response. Okay. I can't read this. Okay. For when a woman's face flashes behind his eyelids. Okay. She stares at Adam in disappointment, tears cascading down her cheeks and over her cuts and scars. She shakes her head. Just like him, she mouths. Adam gasps and rips his hand away, tears pricking at the corners of his eyes in frustration. I'm sorry. Her face flashes behind his eyelids, the sun illuminating your frame like an angel descending from the heavens. Stop it. You pull him down again. You kiss him. Enough. He chokes out a sob and curls into the fetal position, wishing he could bleed you out of his pores and then taint himself, but you left your mark. If he wants to get rid of this fever, this disease burning within him, he needs to find the source and destroy it. Adam calms himself down by taking a deep breath and letting a plan formulate in his mind. As long as he focuses on the future tasks at hand, he can handle this odd feeling overwhelming him and carrying out what he needs to do. When he opens his eyes, they shine with a determined light, and he promises himself he'll find you again. Good end? That was an okay ending. Okay, so it seems like the deal with Adam is that he seems to just hate his dad, of course, but he seems to have some relationship with his mom, but his mom seems to be emotionally abusive. Like, she's the type of religious person that sees like thoughts of lust that's just really, really bad. So him crying like that just is trauma for him. And I guess him killing people was a way to release that trauma. Anyway, this is just a prologue to the actual story. So I just want to see what will happen if I mean, he'll still try to kill me if I don't call anyone, but I want to also see what happens if I just try to claw out his eyes. But I bet he'll try to stab me in the end, but I'll see. Alrighty, I'm going to claw out his eyes. You lurch forward as far as you can and try to jab your thumbs into his eyes. He scoffs and easily grabs your wrist, pinning your hands above your head in one swift movement, using his weight against you. You're nose to nose and you can see flecks of gold in those psychotic eyes of his. He's grinning like a madman. Never pegged you for the violent type. It's not really becoming of you, if I'm being honest, but I'd been lying if I said I wasn't expecting it. You struggle to breathe with all the full weight of his chest bearing down on yours. He's enjoying your weak attempts to hold him off. Okay, that's actually a lie. I expected you to cry first and then fight back when crying didn't work. How about it? Why don't you cry for me? You gasp as something sharp drills into your side, shifting back and forth, tears pricking at the corners of your eyes as you hear the sound of your flesh being sliced into like a butcher cutting into meat. You're trembling from both adrenaline and the knowledge that you aren't making it out of this alive. Oops, too late, because I have no choice but to gut you up like the violent pig you are. Hold still, okay? He drives his knife down the center of your body, starting from your chest and slicing all the way down to your belly button in one swift motion. Agony rips through you like a bolt of crash-strapped lightning, vision turning to pure white. You try blinking to clear out your vision, but find your eyelids aren't cooperating. No part of your body operates like it should. You know, Adam's voice filters through the wheel of light. I almost thought you were interesting and maybe even a little bit cute, but that vicious personality of yours changed my mind. You feel him adjust yourself over your limp body and can only assume he's lifting a knife again. I'm glad to rid the world of a violent person like you. The blade bursts itself into your chest, past your ribs, and pierces straight to your heart. The world goes quiet, and you fade into the white. Alrighty, I'm going to call for help. Oh wait, don't call for help. What am I doing? Don't call. You lower your phone, exiting out of the phone app without a second glance at the screen. Alright, but at least let me take a look at your leg. He visibly relaxes at your compliant nature and nods, leaning back so he can roll up his pant leg and examine the damage lying underneath. Blood coats the wound on his leg. You can't even see the extent of the injury when there's so much. You need to clean it off. Wait right here. Head for your car and look at the box cutter knife hidden underneath the driver's seat. Cutting off the box half of your shirt, you grab the once cold but not warm water bottle you brought with you for your mini road trip and use it to soak the stray piece of fabric. You toss your box cutter back onto the driver's seat before returning to your hitchhiker. The hitchhiker looks up upon hearing your approaching footsteps. He watches his eyes widen into the equivalent of large saucers, his lips slightly parted in surprise as his gaze zeroes in on the new patch of the exposed skin. He studies the shape of your body, tracing over each and every part of you with new eyes. You feel flustered at the attention, but you also don't hate it. It's nice in a way. You're a little disappointed when he averts his gaze, wondering if you misinterpreted the situation until he bites at his bottom lip as if he's done something naughty. Your heart flutters at the implications. His reaction's kind of cute. You lower yourself to his level and try to ignore the blush spreading across your own cheeks. He's really attractive, a fact that you couldn't help but notice when you rushed to his side and saw that intense expression like an arrow striking through your helpless little heart. But that's not the only thing that garnered your attention. This hitchhiker is Adam, the lead singer of Cake. What's he doing all the way out here in the middle of nowhere? So I couldn't help but notice that but you're Adam, right? The hitchhiker hesitates before nodding. Okay, so I don't mean to sound rude, but what are you doing all the way out here asking strangers for rides? Adam rubs the back of his head, almost sheepish in his answer. I accidentally drove my car into a ditch a few miles back, and I forgot my phone at the studio, so I couldn't really reach out and call anyone. Figured on the off chance that someone drove by I could bum a ride. He smiles then. Guess I got lucky you showed up when you did. You're a lifesaver. I can't read. You're almost blinded by that smile. No wonder his fangirls go crazy. Urging your pounding heart to stay calm, you try concentrating on the conversation at hand and get started on cleaning his leg. You need to focus. Oh, was the crash how you got hurt? Adam shakes his head. Cut my thigh open while hiking with my friends a couple of weeks ago. One of the tree branches was a little too sharp and gave me this as a souvenir. The doctor stitched me up, but I guess it tore back up since I started walking. He chuckles to himself. I didn't even notice, if you can't believe it. You're surprised to hear this considering he's got a performance going on later tomorrow night. You surely should let it heal before going back on stage. Well, hopefully when I drive you back town, we can get you to a doctor to get it taken care of. I'm sorry I can't do anything else in the meantime. Don't worry, you've been a big help. Your flesh had his praise, the smoothness of his voice, and the way he says that makes you feel things you haven't felt in a long time. In places you haven't felt it in a long time. You attempt to focus on the task at hand, wiping away the thick, congealed blood, but it's hard to concentrate when all you can think about is the fact that your hands are near his thighs and... Oh gosh, you're turning beet red from the thought alone. Looking at your bottom lip, you peer up at him and find his gaze locked onto your hand with blistering intensity. Can't tell if he wants to rip your hands off his leg or to guide them towards more. Oh, come on. The heat warming your body desires the latter. Something wrong? His gaze suddenly flicks upward and you jump flustered that he's caught you staring. Nothing. Just a little dazed is all, probably because of the heat. You duck your head and redirect your attention downward, ignoring the horny little devil inside of you. Since you're back on track, you didn't notice before, but the blood in his leg's a bit weird. It chips and peels away like dried paint instead of smearing. What the? Ah, dang. The man withdraws a small silver knife tucked into the waistband of his jeans and lunges at you. You don't even have a spare moment to react before he drives his weapon into your chest. Your bruising and tear battle into your mind, and adrenaline pumps through your veins as you try to fight him off. You scratch at his chest, face, anywhere you can dig your nails into, but he scoffs and pins your arms down with his knees. You watch in horror as he plunges a knife into your exposed chest again and again. You don't even have time to ask why as the world goes dark. Bad end 1. Too promiscuous. Which is the bad end 2. What can I do to get the bad end 2? Oh, I know what to do to get the bad end 2. Alrighty, so I think I have to get bad end 2 by lying, saying yes, I believe in destiny. That's complete crap. You lie thinking your answer will appease him. Yes. The corner of his lips kick upward for a moment and you think you've answered the question correctly. That is, until he withdraws his knife again. Adam leans closed, lips brushing against your earlobe in a low, seductive voice. You're lying. He shifts back to his original kneeling position and drags the knife along your neck in one swift, practiced movement. Blood spills down your chest, soaked up by the ground beneath you. Your body convulses, fighting for survival, legs kicking out in a frantic effort to stave off the sudden lack of oxygen. But there's so much blood, and the man sitting on top of you watches with some sort of sick fascination. Ooh, his eyes are really creepy. While your life slips away by the second. There's not an ounce of regret reflected in those eyes of his. The only person who can save you now is yourself. You try to lift your arm to press your palms against the wound, but you're so weak that he is able to easily pin your arms at your sides and tuts like a teacher disappointed in their rebellious student for acting out against their wishes. Now, there's no use in fighting the inevitable. Just let it happen. He lets go of your wrist, and you have no choice but to obey. You don't even have the strength for another attempt. You watch in resigned horror as the edges of your vision turn dark, like the edges of a letter being burned and leaving nothing but black ash in their wake. You whimper in fear, and he shushes you, pressing your finger to your lips. It's okay. This is a natural part of the process. It'll be over soon. And besides, the place where lies such as yourself in the afterlife. He's a wise hypocrite. At least according to my father. I can't speak for whether or not it's true, but hey, look at it this way. At least you'll fit right in. Alright, and I got all the bad endings, and I kind of got the good ending. The bad ending 2 was Liar Liar. So yeah. That's the end of You and Him. I'm actually interested in seeing how this story will fare out. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a good story anyway, since it's about a serial killer obsessing over their victim that got away. But yeah, I like the character designs. I like the character design of Adam. I mean, he's good looking, yeah. So yeah. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Bye.